we're in the mode right now, or we're in a situation right now where work from home is going to be the first order of priority for a lot of people, and that's not going to change anytime soon. It may swing back a little bit, but I think we're going down that path. And that creates in and by itself, I think, a lot of opportunities in terms of like how people interact with each other. Funny story out of this is like my team is very distributed, and we have a lot of folks that are for meetings or so dialing in, and we always had a few folks that were always in the room. Working from home right now makes the interactions much more equitable, because before it's like the folks that were in the rooms like had the giggles and laughs before and after, and a different level of interaction. Now we're all pretty equitable in terms of like the kind of interactions we can have, and I think that changes the dynamic in the team. And if you start to scale this from a very small kind of a group to something much larger, like an entire company or an entire industry sector, I think it becomes relevant, and it becomes really something where we have an opportunity to shape how those kind of communication, how the collaboration ultimately shapes out. And I think we all agree that in some form or another, the way we identify there is going to be critically important going forward.
It's an interesting point, because it's true. Even just when we do our shows, the people who are in the studio always have an advantage over the people who are over Skype. Yep. So once everybody's on Skype, it is an equal playing field. It's interesting, too, to see how the tech community is responding, because Twitter just told its employees, you never have to come back to work. Yep. And Apple said, I think it's time you got back to work. They're already calling employees back to the campus. So different, Facebook and Google kind of split down the middle and said, no, don't come back till 2021. But I do think that's going to very much change how people think of work, what work is in this country. We're a service economy. And in a crisis like this, a third of our country's out of work because they're service employees that have nobody to serve. So that's certainly something we're going to have to rethink. Steve, do you see an opportunity coming out of this crisis?
I guess I would expand a little on what Gerald said. I agree with him completely, and with your point, I was going to bring up that the note about Twitter. I don't think, even if this virus disappeared a couple of years from now, that we're ever going to go back the way things were.
No.
I really believe, we see examples of this in security all the time, where nobody wants to make a change. Something forces the change, then it happens, and oh, look, it's okay. And so there was certainly resistance to, I look at the freeways in Southern California in the morning and in the night. That's just a nightmare. And the idea that someone has to spend several hours of their day doing that just to move their body from point A to point B, when often they could stay at point A and get the same job done. Well, they're doing that now. So this thing has forced people. You can't buy webcams because they're all sold out everywhere, because everyone wants to do online conferencing. So I think this is going to permanently make a significant change in the way we operate, and that we may see pollution levels go down, gas consumption goes down, the freeway traffic drops, because people, as a consequence of having been made to overcome their natural resistance to change, make that change and then realized, hey, I can drink my own coffee rather than swinging by Starbucks on the way to work. And I don't have to spend a couple hours in the car. And I get more time with my family and more time with my kids, and I have more freedom and flexibility. So I just think we don't yet know how this is going to shake out, but this has changed significantly the way this country works, I believe, and the world.
Yeah.
And I totally agree. It's and I think, Steve, one of the things that somebody else told me recently that I thought was really super interesting was we've had this in the past. We had the work from home kind of like a drive where people were starting to say, hey, I don't want to sit for 2 hours in traffic in the Bay Area just to do a job and essentially waste half my day. But I think what is different today is that the execs, quote unquote, the various kind of leadership, is actually affected by this as well. There is no way to get into the office right now. There is no way to have physical meetings. And I think they're with now, again, it's like everybody being equal from that perspective. Everybody has the opportunity to see the benefits of this, and I think I agree with you. It's like with this kind of exposure, there's a good chance that this work remote first kind of like approach is really going to be sticking to with us for a very long time or forever.
There's actually a long historic precedent of pandemics changing culture, changing society, back to 165 AD when the Antonine Plague helped the fall of the Roman Empire. So we're in good company, I guess. I couldn't have been in better company for this conversation. I want to thank all three of you for making this just a fascinating talk. Steve Gibson will be back together again on Tuesday for Security Now. And every week, grc.com is his website. He's on Twitter at SGGRC. And we've taken you long enough away from getting SpinRite going. So go back to work.
I'm
now.
back to coding.
Get back to coding. Andrew Keen, are you in the middle of another book these days, or what's your status?
Well, I've got my daily podcast show, but yeah, I'm thinking about doing a book about all these new tech realities. It's really interesting.
It is.
It's
for
a
somebody,
good way to. Yeah, it's a good way to think this stuff through, this conversation.
Yeah, for somebody like you, who's really an observer of how society is changing thanks to technology, this is an exciting and challenging time. ajkeen.com. Where's the podcast?
It's at LitHub Radio, so it's the Keen On podcast, but it's a daily show, and it's I'll say it myself, but it's good. I just had Don Tapscott on talking about blockchain. So,
I love Don.
Lots of tech stuff.
Old friend. LitHub.com. Keen On. And doing it every day is an interesting idea. Good on you. How long have you been doing it every day?
I've been doing it since the beginning of the crisis. Well, Leo, how many shows are you doing a day?
Oh, I don't know. I don't even want to think about it.
And you're not working from home, or do you actually live in your studio?
It's interesting because I do have the capability of doing all the shows we do from my house, as do all of our other hosts. In fact, they all are. I told them, you stay home. That way I can use the studio without anybody around. So I am sort of in a safe space in my studio. We have to bring an engineer in anyway to keep things running. So he's way over there, far, far away. In fact, thank you, Anthony Nielsen, for coming in. We really appreciate it. Anthony's got a mask on and taking care of himself. And, of course, my wife. But that doesn't count, Lisa, because I live with you. So if you've got it, I've got it. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah, she's on my side of the camera line. We have a camera line that no one is to cross. There it is. There's Lisa. And Gerald Buchelt from CISO from Log Me In. Every time we get together, it's been a great conversation. I know we're going to do another one of these events for LastPass in September, early October. We don't know if it'll be virtual. My guess is, if Andrew's right, it's probably going to be virtual for now on. But
we'll find out.
We'll find out in the fall. But I'll see you then, and stay safe, stay healthy, Gerald, and thank you for what you do to protect all of us at Log Me In and LastPass.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate
Thanks for having me. It's as always, great fun be with you guys, and definitely inspiring conversation.
Great brain food. And, by the way, thank you so much to LastPass. They named the studio. They bought the naming rights to the studio, which we are forever grateful for. Really, frankly, if it weren't for LastPass, I don't know if we would have such a big studio. I might be back in my living room. But thank you, LastPass, and I encourage everybody to go to lastpass.com/twit to find out how LastPass can help you with authentication, passwords, single sign-on. And frankly, it's a secure enclave for everything that I need to keep safe. LastPass.com/twit. Thank you, LastPass. Thank you, Andrew, Jerry, Steve. We'll see you next time. Thanks to all of you for joining us. This has been a fabulous conversation. Our second LastPass panel on the future of digital identity. Bye-bye.